There it is, Ethereum on the weekly, waited months for this moment. That weekly close just happened like an hour and a half ago or so. It is looking insane. A bullish confirmation on the macro. Altcoins, everybody, are looking phenomenal. I want to just put a disclaimer out there as we step into this week. Be very careful. There is room on all of these charts. We're going to look at Ethereum, SUI, and ADA. There is room for a pullback at this moment. And I think after the weekend that we just had, it is very much in play, so be careful. But the macro, this macro confirmation that you see on the screen right here, it is looking good. SUI continuing to act as a leading indicator for altcoins. I'm going to show you exactly the area for SUI to break out. That could be a very short-term bullish indicator if it happens. And ADA on the weekly, just doing its thing, hanging out. Many people wondering, is it going to ever break out? Will it ever reach all-time high? And I think ADA is going to do what it does, and that is break out of nowhere, all-time highs, quicker and sooner than most people are thinking. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in if you're not in our intelligence system. Please check it out. We have a 40% sale with our risk models, our exit planners. Get in there, start planning. Even Ethereum, our risk score was just at 17 at like $1,500 not long ago, and all of a sudden, it was such a good signal too for accumulation. Here we are at 57. Let's start on Ethereum. I found this clip. I don't think I played this one a lot. I have to set the context for this video for Ethereum analysis. Ethereum in this video, this was months ago, March 15th, $1,900. Check it out. Track this pattern. We've been tracking it for quite some time, right? We broke to the downside, and what we've been talking about is the potential for the pullback to the lower trend line. That will be the test for Ethereum. I think that move is coming soon, especially now as we're getting this 50 crossing below the 20. Markets are doing, but in that moment, what is crypto doing? What is we know what crypto was doing, Fed doing whenever this happens. Is there going to be rejection and continue down, or do we break back into the pattern and the busted pattern is in play? So I say I've been waiting months for the move because there it is. That's on that screen waiting for that move. Ethereum on the weekly has done it. We've broken all the way back up. And here we are, $3,800. Now, I really want to do some analysis on the short term, kind of what's going on. And I'll show you some targets to the upside. Many won't believe $16,000 and $10,000 on Ethereum. Imagine what altcoins would be doing in that environment. But on the short term, we did just get this very important move. Just because we get this move does not mean, especially with, there's not much separation from the trend line, but it does not mean it's up only now. It's only going to be green candles, especially because when we're looking at this area here, this is a resistance area, this 3,800 to like 4,000. So I've been watching this potential inverse head and shoulders. I think I mentioned it previously. Swing low, lower low, and now potentially resistance. Coming back down, test the apex, maybe test these moving averages finally. We got some separation. We need to come back in, let the 20 cross above the 200. This is such a nice move for Ethereum that's happening. But often when that happens, we got to get a pullback. This weekend especially, it seemed weird. Like altcoins were just looking kind of nice, little bit of higher highs and higher lows, just getting people feeling real nice about altcoins. It seems like a setup. It seems like a fake out, potentially by these market makers as we step into this very volatile week with the Fed meeting on, I think, Thursday and Friday. So be careful, please. The pullback is so in play. It changes nothing about the macro. In fact, a reset right now, especially on an Ethereum chart, is not a bad thing. So be careful for that. But if we get the breakout, now we're really starting to talk about shorter term confirmations if we start breaking these areas, these previous resistance areas. So Ethereum on the daily, here's what I'm looking at. It's very simple. And this is a macro picture, I would say, but we have the massive symmetrical triangle. The breakout out of that area is around $16,000. Many people don't think it'll happen, but it is very much a realistic target in my view for the altcoin season that I think we're going to get. But we also have a smaller target, and that's kind of based off of my speculative pattern that we just talked about. And it's not because I say it's definitely going to happen. I think there's a very strong possibility it does, though, where we're getting resistance here. And I don't know what the right shoulder would look like. It could be very small, and then we're breaking out. It could be, further down and more volatile, and then we're breaking out. But $10,000 target is the target for Ethereum out of that pattern. So we have a kind of a midterm pattern and a massive multi-year pattern, $10,000, $16,000 targets. So it'll be interesting to see what Ethereum does in the shorter term. We are in the resistance area. That is the trend line. the yellow multi-year trend line, and this previous swing high all the way back here in December. Let's see what Ethereum does in the short term. That's what I'll be watching from a price perspective. One other piece of warning when it comes to Ethereum, if you look at our risk models, I use our risk models, and our members do, I think, mostly for like just planning your exits. When we get into these environments, like you see in last bull market, 100 on the risk score, like set your alerts, get in our system, start setting your alerts on these altcoins back here. Get a 95 alert, an 80 alert. Be alerted so that you know when to start taking profits because it's getting kind of crazy. But in this video, I wanted to just do one thing. It's a little bit different, kind of an analysis on the shorter term. Look at these swing highs for Ethereum so far, 61, and then consolidates for months. And then we had a swing high 58, and then it consolidates for months. We're at 57 right now. So the risk score has kind of identified this area of like the mid 50s, 60, as being this area where Ethereum has kind of hit these resistance areas and then it consolidates. So with all the analysis I've already done on the charts, I think it's worth just paying attention to the fact that we're at 57. We start breaking strong through 60. Maybe that's an altcoin season indicator. I don't know. That's something we can do for another video. We can explore that a little bit more. But that's what I'm watching on Ethereum. And then on SUI, let's talk about SUI. I want to take a clip. This is from just a couple days ago. Check this out. They are just together. They are compressed. SUI is ready to break out. And you can just see it's even in this kind of midterm swing high, lower high. I'm waiting to see if SUI can escape that area. But why is this so meaningful? Because SUI on the macro really has just consolidated in such a healthy way. So we go on talking about SUI acting as a leading indicator. SUI at that moment, 369, right now 430. So it's broken out. Look at that touch to the 20-day moving average. It's a really nice touch, breaking above this trend line here around 380, 390. But if you look at this chart, and it's not perfect, but there's kind of an area of resistance that I think SUI is in. So we saw Ethereum potentially getting ready for a pullback. We see SUI getting ready for a pullback. And keep in mind, these areas are also bull confirmations. If these altcoins break strongly through, it's a very good sign. But just check this out, right? A little bit of a trend line area here. And if SUI is going to come back down, what do we have potentially in play? Kind of another inverse head and shoulders in a different fashion. We have a higher high type of neckline in play. But that's something I'm watching on SUI. It really is the $4.50 area. It's resistance. It seems like it's resistance. And SUI might start retracing. We just had the 50 cross above the 200. Maybe it needs to retrace back into the threes. That's not a bear market indicator. That is just a higher high, higher low indicator. And we just be waiting for the breakout of that trend line. So SUI can continue acting as a leading indicator as it has for altcoins. If it breaks above 450, watch out for other altcoins, especially if those other altcoins are not moving yet. Let's go over to Cardano. I want to take a quick look at this clip that was posted. This is Ivan on Tech. Check it out.
Then we're at all-time high. You see, with Cardano, suddenly it can just start going vertical, like we saw in the chart. So that can very well happen. And then we're at all-time high. You see,
he really just, that is how Cardano, if you study the charts, that's how Cardano moves. You know, I'll look at Cardano charts on the zoomed in a little bit, right? Just to get some price action. We looked at Ethereum, we looked at SUI. A lot of these altcoins are just, they're contesting with these areas, these breakout areas. They might dip. But with ADA, I wanted to mention something as we're doing all this altcoin analysis and we're talking about an altcoin breakout. ADA, what it does is, as Ivan was mentioning, is, and he knows because he's been across cycles and he's studied all these charts. And if you study the ADA chart, you know too, it kind of consolidates. It kind of like lags. It kind of just looks like, man, and you can see, look at these consolidations and then the pumps are insane. Last cycle, same thing. ADA all-time high will, in my view, happen sooner and quicker than most people think it will. I pointed this part out on the chart. Back here, ADA was kind of in that area, right? Just so far from all-time high. If you look at the chart, everybody's just like, man, ADA's not doing anything. All of a sudden, it made this power burst. And this area was the bull market doors at that moment. For me, that's what I call it. It's this 20-month or 20-week moving average resistance going into the bear. It's ADA getting back above that area. So boom, real fast. And then it's there. And then boom, all-time high. It's just like out of nowhere. It was like a nothing coin. And then all of a sudden, it's all-time high. We're here again. I really think we are. I don't know when the moment will come. Maybe we come back down. We're in the 60s. Maybe it's sideways for a month. But boom, A 50% move to $1.25. We start breaking that, a very similar move to what happened back here. All-time highs can happen so fast, you don't even understand. It seems like, well, we waited so long for this even to get here. It's just been down and then barely up. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's what happened last cycle, but look how fast all of a sudden. So I'm just saying, be very careful if you're sleeping on altcoins like ADA. On the shorter term, when we're talking about downside of all these altcoins, these pullbacks, what I'd be watching for ADA is probably the 50-day down to the 50 days around 67 cents. Let's see what happens. That's kind of like that bottom area of the bull market doors. Again, if you go to the weekly, that would be this area around 61 cents. Yeah, 61 cents is a 200-week moving average. So really 61 cents to that 50-day. Of 67. So 67 down to 61. Just that area. What happens if ADA kind of makes a breakdown? Keep in mind, we have the 20 kind of cruising above. We're still above the 20. Ideally, we'd like to see ADA just kind of maybe trade into the 20. This is a move we've seen in terms of ADA on the shorter term. If we actually go back right here, started breaking out in November, we just traded right into that 20 before that next swing high. And you can even see when it was actually consolidating sideways right there into the 20-day, check out what the MACD was doing. We were just kind of a MACD crossing below the signal line, looking a little bearish. It was just a nice consolidation before that big pump. Check out what's happening right now. MACD line crossing below the signal line, looking a little bearish. We might be entering a little bit of a short-term consolidation, a pull into the 20-day moving average, that green line right here. Maybe it goes lower into the 200, around 73 cents, or as we've already discussed, down to the 50, around 68 cents. I don't know. These are areas I'm watching for. If ADA breaks out, if altcoins break out, I'll do an update on kind of the upside if they start breaking through these areas. For ADA, it's this previous swing high, obviously around 93 cents, 94, 95. We might be at $1 very quick if altcoins have a green week. So stay tuned. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, turn notifications on. And again, if you're not in our intelligence system, get our risk models. We've got 38 risk models back here. Start checking out the best time to plan exits. Start setting alerts in the exit planner and all the other tools that we have back there. 40% off right now. Check us out. Let's see how the week goes. I appreciate you watching. Subscribe, turn the notifications on. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.